All right, let's see where we are at. We should be live. Let me check my channel to see if it's coming through. Let's see, Sinkhole Cartography, and cool, and volume. Cartography. Check. And cool, and volume. Check. And cool, and volume. All right, sound pretty good there. Let me drop my volume down so it doesn't get annoying. Let me check my balance. Good. And I'm going to grab a link here and post it on the social medias real quick. But hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I have been focusing my attention on... well, I've been DMing since 1987. And I've been using Eberron as my homebrew campaign since 2006. It's Eberron's 20th anniversary this year. I think it was last month. So happy anniversary, Keith Baker, and the world of Eberron, finishing the Living Grave battle map. Exclamation point. And then copy the link, copy paste. I'm just posting it up to my social medias. I've got a Discord link down below. You can hang out in my community. I've got a Patreon if you want to be involved in future playtesting for adventures and different design work, like the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration Supplement, the Mega Kaiju encounter, the Vokath Battle Crab encounter, the Martial Powers Ravnica Rubble Belt playtest system if you're interested in participating in that as well. And so we got a lot of stuff going on. You're welcome to hang out in the community if you like. I'm here 10 times a week, streaming in the morning like this for Eberron stuff for the adventure that we are creating. Crystals of Mabar is for 4 to 5 characters of level 7 to 8, fighting undead and necromancer cultists in the Carnwood in the nation of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. So I'm on the X Twitter platform at Phil Kearney. You can like, subscribe, catch me there, like, etc. All the things, bells and whistles. Holy Hannah. Kraken Week is upon us. If you're interested in seeing more about that, one of the things that I had produced for Kraken Week is here, the Spelljammer Mega Kaiju adventure that I had referenced about playtesting, and I'm just going to go back to where we are on our stream here. Keep that down. So yeah, we're here 10 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning like this. We're building art and map assets for Crystals of Mabar, and Mondays and Thursday nights, like last night, we work on Spelljammer Combat and Exploration artwork. On Tuesdays and Fridays, like today at lunch in about 5 hours, we'll be back on continuing the martial magic project called Martial Powers. And on Wednesday, we build subclasses for all the different we build archetypes for all the classes, also for Spelljammer. And then on Saturday, I do whatever, either commissions or a passion project or just catch up on something else. So we'll see what that ends up being. So we're gonna get to work here for a little less than an hour and a half. So we've gotten, where is my other Plague Moss? Look, it's there. So these are the different tokens that we've created that are dropped in throughout the cover of here. You got the poison gas, its stinking cloud effect. You got the ferric ivy that causes damage if you walk through it, and then the rest of that. This is obviously difficult terrain because you're dropping into, you're wading through a sinkhole full of water, and this is the actual sinkhole where undead crawl out from the living grave token that we've dropped into the map. This is basically this was full of corpses that the powers and magic of the plane of undeath called Mabar animated all of them. They clawed their way out of the sinkhole, or perhaps the environment of Mabar caused this to open. Speaking of opening, my OBS just locked up my Photoshop, so Let's peel that open ourselves. So the mass unmarked grave. Well, I guess it's marked with this monument, but this monument wouldn't have discussed how many victims of necromantic magic are buried inside of here and forgotten about. But yeah, the crystals release them, and then they start storming across the landscape. So this is a map vignette that if you want a gauntlet style stream of undead coming at the players while they are exploring the manifest zone, they can track the undead back to the Sinkhole location. The living grave is a monster generator, just like from Gauntlet, that until it's destroyed, you have no idea how many corpses it can actually pull out of the environment. Since it's sitting in water, you can't really see all of the things that could rise up and caliphate you. Excuse me. I've got the Haganaga. So we've been creating all these various environmental tokens and basically decals that you strap onto this thing, and we are just about done with that. So I'm going to drop back down here into the crystals. I'm going to conceal that. So once we finish this last crystal, we'll then populate the interior map space. That's not it. Where? Oh, there you are. Perfect. I had Haganagas last night, and I got them again this morning, so that's disappointing. This fractal brush, I actually created this from a polarized and inverted image of a cauliflower, one of those fractal cauliflowers, the really freaky ones that look like they come from another planet. That's us, baby. We're in a fractal world, and so I took a picture of the cauliflower and I polarized it, and then which means blasted out, so it's just black and white. And then I inverted it so the white became black, and this is the pattern that was left over, and it's pretty good at creating like little replicating patterns like this, as you would expect from a fractal object. But here we are, and I've been using it. Basically what happens is, if you're not familiar with Eberron, it has 13 unique outer planes, like extra dimensional planes that like represent death, and the plane of air and light, and blah blah blah, all these 13 different planes. And occasionally all the different planes of existence in Eberron like orbit Eberron, kind of like the moons do. There's a different moon for each plane, and so occasionally these planes, quote unquote, co-terminate with the world of Eberron, meaning I'm gonna make this just a free transform, just a touch bigger, because I actually do want to fill out this square. And so, when these planes go terminate, the planar forces influence and affect the area, the manifest zone that overlaps onto the world of Eberron. So, in this instance, the adventure here is that necromantic cultists have attained an artifact. This is line. That allows them to force the plane of Mabar to manifest and co-terminate with the world of Eberron. And what it does is the necromantic effects of Mabar rot all the plants and in the forest, and all the soil gets depleted of life, and it becomes a sort of undead environment. So all these things that are growing are native to the plane of Mabar. And this coffee grit that we have is the soil. This is what it does to the soil. It basically turns it into coffee grounds. And then all these Mabarite plants, Mabaran plants, grow up out of that to sort of terraform the forest into a Mabaran environment. Blech. So let's say that 500 times fast. We're gonna go with full. So I am, and we're gonna go with line part. So it's an adventure we'll be publishing on DMsGuild, and I'm creating the color version for the PDF and for virtual tabletop, and then we're providing black and white versions of all the maps, so that as line art, as just like ink. So if you wanted to print it, you could use a laser printer with very minimal, with no ink usage, or if you're using ink, it would only have to be a black tile that you would use. So hey, Rel, what's going on? Welcome to the mix, my dude. Proud to have you here. So we are making a lighter density we're making a lighter density tile. So if you wanted to include, you don't, in a black and white map, it's assumed that the ground is covered with this coffee grit. You don't have to put a token down for everywhere that there's coffee. It's just assumed everything is covered with it. But for those that are gluttons for punishment, I wanted to make sure I provided a black and white token, probably just to be consistent. But I'm thinking I'm going to make a little separate PDF and include it in the download, like how to tile your map. Maybe like a little tutorial thing. It might not be a bad idea to do that. And it's another step up in just the quality and thoroughness of the projects that we're building here. So, what's up? What are we doing? Again, this is just crystal grit that we're making right now. This is the last tile that we need to make to complete the project, and I have the full tile, and then I want to make this partial tile here that leans towards grit on this end. So I add it. This is just a brush, right? And you stipple it. And that's how it does. Stippling is like when you ink block pressing, like the Japanese art of ink ink blocks. They have various they'll make like a little carving of a tree out of wood, and then they'll press in ink, and then they'll stamp it onto the parchment to make forests and stuff like that. So we're following that same basic technique. It's technically that stippling effect is the same sort of forced stuff that Bob Ross does. And I love doing Bob Ross environment paintings. Just absolutely adore doing it. Bob Ross is how I learned how to make good environments. Oh, I just want to thin that down a bit. There, that looks pretty good. I need to bring this up to the edge though, like that. So we're just gonna fuck around with these tiles just a little bit, and then we're going to take the tiles that we finished and we're gonna drop them down into this overhead map here, and then this map will be done. And we'll be able to set this one aside, and we'll be able to start in on the next one. So I fully expect probably in the next half hour for us to be finished on this piece, and then starting to prep for the next one. We've got 2 more maps in the manifest zone like this that we're going to build, and then we've got 2 forest maps that we're going to build. and then we'll be done with all our maps, and we still have some tokens that we need to make. I have some Yugoloth tokens that need to be made. Spoiler alert: there's Yugoloths in here, and just one more little gritty bit like that. See, the coffee grounds are so chaotic. It's almost impossible for me not to be able to build them, quote unquote, well. There's very little need to check my tiling. I just want to make sure I get this built in right here. There. There's probably a lot of new folks that are checking out the channel from the Kraken video. Big, huge shout out to Pointy Hat and Jenny D for putting Kraken Week together. It has been a massive blessing to me. There, and I want to make this a little bit bigger to fill out that edge. There. Erase that. Erase that. There. There it is. Good. And take that. Here, I want to have that pushing off the edge. And now we're going to make another one. There, part. And then let's go to line. Hey, timely timer. That's my 20-minute timer to make sure I don't get into too much of a tangent. Then I do want to push this off the page. That. What do you got going on, Rel? Just finished journaling. Do some more later. Don't like the pointy humor and the reimagining of a lot of creatures and a lot of D&D creatures. And you know what? There is an abundant number of ways to be able to express creatures, and there's like the Martial Powers project, for instance, that I work on, which will be today and on Friday. Like, you can take basic monsters and then you can re-kit them with new abilities. I think ultimately, like, a monster is irrelevant. Like, I make up most of my monsters on the fly. Sometimes I'll have like an ability, like I'll think about, as a DM when I'm building dungeons, I'll think about what is this dungeon like? What's the theme of the dungeon? What kind of creatures fit the theme of that? And then what unique abilities that the team isn't going to be expecting can I add to those creatures, so that the environment that they're in complements the challenge that they'll present to the players. So the stats don't matter at all, like we were talking about on Saturday. The stats that you have, you want to pace them to how strong your team is. And you generally don't need to have a monster be more strong than it can last 3, maybe 4 rounds. And you actually want to have it, because the goal of the monster is to die, so that the team gets experience points, as it were. I mean, I don't use experience points I either use milestones or timed levels. So there's basically 3 ways you can gain a level. Here's a fun tangent. Let me take a sip. I think I have videos about this on my in my video playlist already, but it's a fun topic, and I feel inspired to yammer about it. But let's like him turning Dragonborn into basically humans. I don't personally. Okay, I mean it's difficult to yuck somebody else's yum. Just like a lot of people don't like Cyberpunk, so you don't play Shadowrun, right? So you just gotta. It's good that you know what you like, but it's really difficult to say, you know, this is a bad idea. It's like if it causes people to have a creative impulse about what they can do with their adventure, it's an idea that helps you just fill in a little bit more information for yourself, so that you become like, it's like reading books. The more stuff that you encounter, just the more things can trigger. Like Dragonborn being people might not make sense for your campaign, but you might suddenly find that really resonates if you decide that you wanted to include goblins, for instance. It's that same attitude of how can you take, like Cleric Corner. If you haven't seen Riker's channel, it's called Cleric Corner. He really leans into the concept of ludonarrative. The definition of ludonarrative is that the aesthetics and appearance of the medium reinforces the technical functionality of what that medium is. Like the color mana system that I built, for instance, has fantastic ludonarrative, because like you use red magic to cast red spells. So when you cast the spell, there's flares of red energy around you as you're casting it, or the thing that you create is red, etc., etc. So, hey Karen, it's great to see you. And like basically, let's see it. I like this stuff. True. Yeah, it's just a matter of frame, right? Like you don't have to like any particular idea or company or things that are published, but if there's anything that, while you're casually engaging with it, if it provides you some sort of a ping, you know, it's a data point that feeds into, if anything else, what your preferences are, which helps sculpt the kind of games that you like. Like as a DM, I really lean into exploration, which is like that whole philosophy we talked about on Saturday, that conversations with NPCs is technically the exploration pillar, while the social pillar, in my world, the social pillar is technically all the yakety schmackety shit that players BS, like make jokes about Monty Python and stuff for 35 minutes. Like it's often called the tier of shenanigans, but it's technically the social the social pillar. The problem is that they're trying to define it as a pillar of adventure, and it really isn't, because if there's no die rolls, it's technically just flavor text. So when you're engaging creatures with social skills, that's a skill challenge that makes it exploration. And let's see, I want to keep thinning this down so I can have things at all points along the edges here without increasing the overall density. It's almost as important when you're learning a craft, and dungeon mastering is definitely a craft. Listening to people that you don't like occasionally is as important as faithfully listening to people that you do, because they're going to say something that is going to reframe something that you hear. I don't have any quick examples for you, but I know that when I stop being willing to listen to somebody, I cut myself off from I'm going to call this sparse. I cut myself off from the opportunity to learn something that was missing. And once you get to a high level of proficiency, it becomes more and more difficult to find information that you aren't already aware of and have already selected if that's appropriate for you to implement. So you have to start reaching outside of your normal comfort zone to find those hidden gems, and often those hidden gems come from people that you traditionally aren't interested in listening to. But it creates, if anything, it creates the polarity of you having, like, I know I lean into this because I know I lean away from that. Doesn't mean you have to listen to like country music if you don't like country music, or like if you're a metalhead and you can't stand Zydeco, you don't have to start listening to Zydeco a lot. But you can, like, for instance, pay attention to the rhythms of Zydeco to see how does that groove. Which is why I like to listen to like music reactions, because it's if it's a genre or music I'm not familiar with, often listening to other people and how they get hit by something for the first time hearing it, it helps open up the idea about, like, well, what are my impressions of this, and how does that counter, like how does that contrast and compare to the experience that they're exhibiting. Anyway, ramble, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom. I think I'm going to take this whole structure. Free transform. And then we're going to make one more. And then I don't need to tile anything with these. The entire environment is already covered with this stuff. Karen, we're at the very end of this map. We've been spending a number of sessions. You probably caught sight of some of them. We ran a number of sessions where we're building out these tiles, and they're all in a pretty good place that we can just replicate them at will. So the luminaries. Appearance, mechanics, and narrative stuff all contribute to the telling of a great story. They complement. Yes, exactly. You want the monsters and the characters that you fit inside of the encounters to help lean into the feel and the narrative of the adventure as a whole. You get it. Trace. Maybe scant would be a better term for this one. I was going to talk about experience points. I got on a tangent. Hey, you caught me monologuing, you sly dog. So there's 3 ways to gain experience points. Basically in any game. Numenera or Cypher system, Warhammer 40k, for example, they use their experience points on a point-by-point basis to basically acquire more attributes or abilities. So they're a little more difficult to pace in, but for the most part, like gaining an experience point, like the literal amount, when you do a thing, it's assigned a value, and then when you do the thing, you gain that value in experience points. In a system like Numenera, when you get that experience point, you can spend it on something, whether it's like a spontaneous flashback sort of something, or a new piece of equipment, or a temporary bonus. So you gain experience, you can spend experience almost ad hoc. So D&D has a point value system called experience points, which is familiar to anybody that's played any kind of role-playing game online ever. You gain, do a number of tasks, you accumulate the number of points, and you're always continuing. In a system where you don't spend experience to gain abilities, you accumulate experience to gain levels, which provide you with packets of abilities that you gain over time. Instead of parsing out, like, 1 hit point is worth 30 experience points, so when I gain 30 experience points, I spend them and I get an extra hit point. Instead, when I gain 3,000 hit points, I roll a d10 hit points, for instance. So it scales differently. You don't have to have a one-on-one comparison. It can be a geometric curve that increases the amount of experience as you go up. So that is controlled by the tempo of gaining levels is controlled by the dungeon master or the game master, who is parsing out experience as needed. So you gain a level when they have given you enough experience points to do so. Ironically, back in ye old days, the original BECMI, for those that don't know, the original BX, like Basic Expert box set, or the BECMI Basic Expert Companion, Master, and Immortal box sets are the 36 plus levels of character in the original box set Dungeons and Dragons that TSR printed back in like the 80s. You didn't gain experience points by killing monsters or anything other than treasure. So the amount of money that you pulled out of a dungeon, you either spent that money on equipment and resources and whatever, gear, right? Or you throw it away, and for every gold piece that you throw away, you get a point of experience. And by quote unquote throwing away, it means like you splurge it in the community. So like you like Conan, you buy drinks for the entire ale house and rent out the hotel for the night. Or if you're a cleric, you invest in like new statues or paintings of your god, or you build an orphanage to take care of the community. And like a wizard might invest in new research, or I don't know. And invest in like an academy, for instance, or like pay dues to a college. You're just throwing your money away. You gain no value from it, but the Ludo narrative is your presence and having gone into that dungeon and arriving back at society victorious. You're distributing the wealth. You are enriching the community. And the framework for the old BECMI BX games was you're going to gain a bastion, a fortress, a home, and this process of throwing your gold away to gain experience points can be directly translated narratively to you are starting to prove that you are a resource that others are going to gain from if they stay close to you. So once you establish your own bastion, the community that rises up around it, that's where you dump your gold. So at a certain level, once you start acquiring land and ownership and all that stuff, the gold that you throw away is being directly invested into the people that are showing up to take it from you. And they're investing their loyalty into you to create this backdrop environment where you're coming in with abundance, and they're taking it in, and they're building lives for new families and communities that are coming in and just naturally gravitating towards you. It's a really, really elegant system, and it's just, I love just how well in sync that as a concept is. It's really, really elegant. But that's another form of acquiring experience points. One that does a really good job of folding into a larger world plan. And let's see, that is there. And then the third way, let's see, no, that was experience points. Oh yeah, the second way is milestones. Milestones is when you gain levels at different points of the story so that your characters are naturally evolving into a strong enough statistical presence to be able to threaten the level of monsters that are going to be in the next leg of the adventure. So this would be like an abstract example of this would be like in Metroid. You don't gain, like, you gain the bomb, the ability to bomb floors. You gain that ability, and when you do, you can start going to the dungeons that are on the other side of the floor. You couldn't get to them before. In the same sort of structure, as your characters go through levels, they gain new abilities, and their levels are those new those new abilities are gained through their levels. So as you move further through the campaign that you've built, they gain these levels so that they have more capabilities. They have more ability to overcome the challenges that they're facing. And that's a little, no, that's good. I'm gonna keep that. Let's go with part 2. with a new layer here, line. This will be thin 2. I'm going to just shake some stuff in here real quick. And then the last one, line. And this one's going to be called sparse. One second. Yeah, milestones. So the way that you build milestones is, again, if we're talking about running a campaign, you need to know your scope. Again, which is why I recommend building your campaign in like 4 or 5 level chunks, and don't think too much about the future. Just have a vague idea of where the world and the campaign could go, but don't lock in on it so much because you have no idea what the team is going to glom onto. You might think that that you want them to go explore this dungeon, but they might want to go explore those ruins instead. So you want to be a little flexible about that, and yeah, you can. And this goes into like guiding your team, where you can if you're following that players lead the adventure, you ask them, what do you guys want to do next session, and make sure that they stick to it, so that whatever it is that you prep is ready to go, and they don't throw you for a loop. There's that and that. Yep, I'm good with those. I want to put a little stray bit over here like that, so it's not so centered. But yeah, we're just making some grit. So these are all good. There and there. Sparse 2. Why are you here? That was a little line art pop-up thing for the tablet that I use. 1, 2, 3. Free transform. Blump, 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 blump. So like if you have if you're playing level 1 to 5, you can set milestones like if the characters defeat the bandits, they gain a level. It can it could be that forward. Is this supposed to be part 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh yeah, and I need trace. Burp, burp, burp. Got a 2-minute timer. This feels more like here, so that means I actually need. Let's go. Trace 2. Sparse 2. Fin 2. And it's like they defeat the bandits, and then they go defeat the Prince of Bandits. That's another milestone. They make it to Khazad-dûm. That's another level. This is part 2. And your milestone can literally be anything, but it should be a significant. It should be a significant plot beat that the team needs to hit. That's a worthy. It have been a worthy challenge to get to the point where they're at, with some sort of meaningful resolution that also launches them in, propels them into the next part of the adventure. So, recovering the Sword of Chaos, and then returning it to Grumbledore, who hired you to find it. That would be a plot. That would be a milestone that you achieved. Congratulations! The entire dungeon that you had to fight through to get the Sword of Chaos. That's not worth anything to you. The only thing that's worth anything is get the sword to Grumbledore. And I don't care how it is that you go about getting that sword, how quickly you defeat my challenges, how clever you are. As soon as you put that sword in his hand, you gain a level. I don't care how hard it was for you to get it. Ideally, you're going to have to tussle with it some. But that's the milestone. It's like this condition has been met, so you gain your level. That's how that's structured. And then the third way to gain experience points is timed, which is you put your butt in the seat for 12 hours and your character gains a level. And then 240 hours later, you're 20th level. So you can pace you're not even paying attention to the pacing of the adventure. You're paying attention to the pacing of the players that are showing up to play the game. So there's strengths and weaknesses to all of these things, and they go like this. So for experience points, the problem is nickel and diming, and grind. There might not be any. Yeah, that all looks pretty good. Okay, crystals are done. I am content with that array of stuff. It doesn't have to have any. I don't even care if it has a recurring pattern. We've got 9 of them here, so you can just stack up crystals and just make a mess on the ground, basically. But this stuff isn't even really necessary. I'm just putting it here for funsies, so we can stitch up. Because again, like in the black and white map, if you're printing this out here, I'll blow this apart. Top side, color, and then let's get rid of the playmat underneath it. Right. See, here's the black. Well, we got all the grit over it. So let me get rid of the terrain. There. So this is the map without any of the color included in it. It's there you go. It's a black and white map, but you can add in grit if you want to onto tiles here with the little tokens that we provided. Like that. So if we use the black and white tokens, we could have all this stuff just inserted around it, and it causes the for it to be like this. It would be very easy for you to see. There's moss here, there's Vulpina over here, there's the ivy here. We have black and white versions of all these. I'm just not going to bore you with like clipping through all of them. But this is a very we've extracted and separated all the different resources that are needed to go into building this map. So let's put the color back in, and then add our grit back in. And then we have our numbers, which will eventually get dropped back in. And then let's go to our background. And so that is the 20 by 20 map space that will just be able to drop in just like this into the virtual tabletop. And then we have the side view, which is profile, just for reference to see what kind of scale we're looking at. You can climb up out of this mess. You got a 5-foot space. It's easy for any undead with any kind of strength to be able to grab hold of the collapsed space, and then just climb out. So there you go. So right now I need to fill in the just drop in some shit. Just need to drop some shit in. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see. Let me get myself organized here again real quick. And flora and fauna. Hazard tokens. These hazard tokens go to the top side map. So let me grab them. Good. Top side map is good. It has the puddles with it. The puddles are technically standalone pieces. I want to do more puddles. I want to have like 6 different puddles that can just be dropped in. Like Like, ultimately, when we take this away, this is just an environment map that can be tiled as well and rotated and tiled infinitely. And then all these puddles are also... where are you at, buddy? There we are. These are also separate, like decals that get overlaid on the map. They have black and white versions in here as well. I'm just not going to peel them apart for you. So the actual map is its own thing. The puddles are their own thing. And oops, we just put the grit, the hazard tokens underneath the puddles. That's not good. Here and then here. Act 2 encounter chambers. Numbers, we can put the puddles above top side, and then we can put the hazard tokens above the puddles. We have Act 2, so this flora and fauna remains its own standalone stuff down here that we can now go down and grab grit for. So we have top sides closed up. Now I'll open up the inside. Drop down here. What is this? That's the living grave. That's the line art. Living grave stays put. I'm gonna grab some tokens here. One second. There we go. I want to grab the Lotharia here. 1, 2, 3. Let's duplicate those. And then we're going to peel those out of its folder. Drop down here. And bump, 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 bump. Here. And then dump, 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 down into the inside. Grab these. We're going to merge that group. Merge that group. Merge that group. Text, what's up? How do you handle the assault characters? The assault characters are higher level character, are more powerful. They have more resources available to them. They can push further because they have more resources, but they can't take hits heavier than a character of the same level. So what the best way to handle Gestalt characters is to just treat them like normal characters, but know that they're going to have more resources available for them to do whatever they want. They're going to be able to push further. They'll have higher die results. They'll have better action. They won't have better action economy, but they'll be able to consistently do more stuff with the actions that they have. But they're still going to take they can still like a 10th level character is still probably going to get blatted out if they're only going to have like anywhere from 140 to like 40 to 140 hit points. So you still have to stay inside that range, even though they might be like full barbarian and a full paladin. So not happy that the new playtest, that the new 2025 stuff is. Wait a second, where did that go? Oops, let me bring that back. There. Let's build this. Hazards. I'm losing focus here for a second. Hold on. Pull that out. There. Duplicate. Drop that down here into the hazards. There. Now we can do that like that. And copy paste. Bring that over here and then rotate. Dump, 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 dump. So we're going to put the living grave in a mass of the Vulpina. So if you try it, once you drop down in there, you are going to get poisoned. So let's flip this horizontal. Like this. here. Rotate this. Bump, bump, bump. Like that. I don't know if that was a thorough enough answer for you. I love Gestalt. Now, there's two ways to run a Gestalt campaign. One is to give them Gestalt again is one character, two paths. One character is basically gaining the resources of two classes. That's the traditional 3rd edition way to do it. But 5th edition opened up a different way to do it, which is Gestalt archetypes. And I love Gestalt archetypes. Like for example, it's like if you're running a Gestalt archetype campaign, it would be like full casters get 1 or 2, depending on how heavy you want to go, gets 1 or 2 archetypes, and then martial a good way to do it. The way that I'm currently doing it is full casters get 2 archetypes and marshals get 3 archetypes. But if I were to do it again, I think I would do full casters get 1 archetype, half casters get 2 archetypes, and then martial characters without magic at all get 3 archetypes. And you gain all the abilities of all of them. And to make it fun, instead of gaining 3 abilities at 3rd level, you can get an ability at 2nd level, 3rd level, and 4th level, for example, or 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then like a barbarian, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And then 6th, 7th, 8th, and then 9th, 10th, 11th, and then 12th, 13th, 14th, and their archetype ends. So you can pace things out across multiple levels. Full casters have all those resources available to them already, so the gaining additional archetypes give other types of characters that don't have huge spell lists more features and resources through their own class to be able to better pace with what the casters are doing. I think I'm happy with these. Full. And then let's take this. Copy, paste. This is I really needed to have these tokens here. I'm going to free transform. I'm off topic. Give me a second here. I'm just trying to get my bearings. Nah, I don't like that there. Let's move it over here. I kind of just trailed off there. So I don't know if that provided a thorough enough answer for what you needed or not. Be welcome to reiterate the question if you need. Free transform. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum. Let's do it like that. Sorry, I haven't been on. No, Karen, you don't owe me anything. I just appreciate you showing up. Thank you. Sometimes everything happens in life once. Work, family, of course it does. Absolutely. It does that so you are overwhelmed, so you have to reach inside yourself for help. Like, do I need to do any changes to how I run the game for them? Yeah, you're going to want more encounters per day. Unfortunately, for 5th edition, that's a tall ask. Because people you're already supposed to have 6 to 8 encounters that are going to drain your resources. And Gestalt is basically giving them an extra 50% resources, anywhere from 100 to 50% more resources. Assume everyone is a full caster, and plan accordingly. Because Gestalt, like if you play like a cleric wizard, don't give them 2 stacks of 20 levels worth of spells. Give them only treat them as though they're multi-classing. Give them only 1 progress, so they still only have 1 9th level spell at 17th level, for instance. Like you don't like casters don't need more resources. They really, really don't. And this doesn't need to be. Let's do this instead. Free transform. Like that. I got on a tangent. I think I was talking about. I was talking about experience points. But hold on, and this new Gestalt going to be what? No, God no. They don't. No, Gestalt was only that was a fan fiction project that was born on the forums back in 3rd edition. So there's absolutely no chance of that stuff appearing. In the player's handbook, zero chance. This and all the in between. Hold on. Good. Let's grab that and go down to here. That's part. Copy, paste. Bring that over. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get this stuff figured out here real quick, and then we can get back on with whatever it is that we're talking about. I just push this up into here. My token, my life. Yeah. There. Nope. Free transform. Flip vertical. You're welcome to keep asking questions because I'm kind of off target. Is the spell? No. There's. I don't anticipate. The Vocath adventure that we've been working on. The crab is almost done, and so we will have all the assets for that probably in the next week or two. But it'll probably be another month or so before we actually have like the book cover done. And have the text out, but once the discount, if you're holding off on buying the Spelljammer thing because for reasons, you can always check out the free preview, but if you want all the assets, there's a discount code on the product page that drops it down to $15 for everything that's with it currently, and when it gets bundled, it'll still be $15. It's just anything that we add to the bundle will also become discounted. Once you buy something out of a bundle, if something's added to that bundle, you automatically get the discount on that as well. You don't have to buy stuff like whole parcel. You can piecemeal it together. But this is my primary project right now. So I don't know if I anticipate having anything else publish before this. Since this is my primary project, this is like the thing that I need to get published next. But I got all these other side projects that I'm doing that once this is off my plate, those will be able to pour in and get done quickly. I'm expecting this to be done probably in October. So that's where it's at currently, which could push back to December depending on how heavy of a lift it ends up being, because that's how this stuff happens. I'm gonna get rid of that. Yeah, this looks good. I like this where it's at. I don't have a production studio working with me. It's basically me and an editor. It's basically all I got. Let's go with thing. Spot. I don't want to name him Mr. Meathead. I want to name him Spot. Come here, Spot. Do not need these now. Bop, bop, bop. Letharia. So now when we put the... See, now the living grave sticks out a lot more from the mass. and I think I'm content with that. I'm gonna call this done. And we're going to take these hazard tokens. We're going to duplicate that group into a new folder. That's the wrong group. Thanks for participating. Let's fold. Top side. Puddles. We're going to. How do I want to do this? I want to grab. Sorry, I'm parsing information right now. Puddles. The grid. The background. There we go. We can duplicate these layers as their own new thing. Rep. There. I'm going to call this save as crystals art Act 3. No, it's not Act 3. It's token assets. So where does that go? Creatures, handouts, intro, trash, new folder, tokens, environment, tokens, puddles. Then here we got a grid. Instead of the puddles, we want the hazard tokens. Wrong area. Here. Duplicate. New. File. Save as. Computer. Hazard tokens. A lot more area than I need, but cheers. Now that I have those extracted into their own thing, drop that. I'll need to do the. I need to come back and do the numbering on this, but until I actually build the document and start doing layout, I won't know exactly what font I want to use. So I'm going to hold off on that, and we'll build the fonts into the numbers once we get there. But this map is done. So I've extracted I extracted the puddles. I extracted the tokens. Oh yeah, the playmat itself. I need to extract the playmat. That, and then the grid. I'm going to duplicate those layers out into their own document. Equals new, file, save as, computer, environment token. We're going to go with, let's go with, what's the word I want to use? Manifest zone, soil, ground. Mat 20 by 20 period. Duplicate, check this out. So we can go down here. It just tiles forever. So now we have a 20 by 40 playmat space that I can drop any kind of terrain I want for you. Just like I could just drop in some puddles and some of that. It'd take a while for me to scatter in a bunch of tokens, but I could. And in a black and white environment, if we're just doing that, you can just literally take a stack of. We'll have a page of Lotharia that you can just cut them all out individually, so you have like a full 8.5 by 11 full of those tokens. You can take those and you just scatter them across the page and just let them land where they land, and then that becomes the environment that the team has to fight whatever monster they're fighting in right now. So there's that. Save. Now these things become assets that we can pluck. You pluck it. And I think what I want to do. So, why do you think they attempted to get you and other third-party publishers out of business with the OGL stuff? Aren't you and the other more valuable to them? Corporatists don't have don't have any real sense of history. So the best that we can tell, we will never know the truth. However, the best that we can probably guess is that the amount of money that Kickstarter projects are making, 7-digit on there, they're probably feeling like they're owed something because corporatists what's the word I'm looking for? Companies that buy other companies specifically just to tear them apart and sell them for pieces, they don't respect the history or IP of stuff, and most corporate entities have that piracy sentiment to them. They can't help it. So a problem with late stage capitalism. Capitalism is great for starting countries. For countries that are getting on their feet and they need investment and they need to reward you for investing. Capitalism works great because capitalism only rewards growth. And when you're in a nation that needs growth, it is the best incentive model because it motivates people that are personally motivated to produce more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1 second. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's turn this. I am figuring out how to fit this onto a single page, so give me a few moments. But once your nation is developed, it starts to enter a different transition in capitalism. That all the growth has been found, but they still have they're still compelled to have quarter by quarter growth. They have a mandate as a company charter to continue with growth pretty much no matter what, and even to the detriment of the own company. So companies start to cannibalize each other. There is no actual growth being created. It's just consuming smaller businesses. That's how you can assure continuing growth, even though it's no longer healthy for anybody that's participating in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this can fit on an 11 by 17, I think. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So that is too big to fit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Trying to find a way to be able to fit all three of these onto an 11 by 17 page. And if I can't, then I need to fill the space with more. So being that Hasbro is such a large business, the only way it can continue to grow is to absorb other assets or cut corners or find how to basically pirate other efforts. And the third party scene is the only other identifiable target for them to be able to pull easy money from. So they tried a gambit. They were running a gambit, and it didn't work out for them. They thought if they, like 4th edition had a GSL, a general something license. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's closer. I'm gonna grab. Let's see. Let's grab these 2 bits. So they just didn't know their history, honestly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 by 12. That'll fit on a 11 by 17 page. Yeah, we're gonna come back. We're gonna have to build more puddles. Yep, this is all. We'll just have to. I can offer a little bit more space in between there. Why do you have a problem? Could not complete the cut command because the sections are empty. Huh. Well, it's telling me what the problem was. It's just the problem was I wasn't listening. There. So that can fit on a an 11 by 17. That's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 10. It could technically fit on its own page. Hold on. Yeah, this would fit on its own 8.5 by 11. I know there's text happening over there and I'm ignoring it. Hold on real quick. I'm just caught in a thing. And I still want to finish that conversation about experience points. And the conversation about Gestalt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's a page. And then, let's see, we can... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that also will fit. 8.5 page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, this fits on its own page. And then we'll want to we're going to build here a couple more puddles. I'm not going to do that right now, though. Right now, we're just pasting stuff out. So, they wanted a bigger cut of the third party, and it blew up in their face. They just didn't realize. They're not smart. They're making they've lost a ton of money, so they needed to do something that would basically appease shareholders and say these are the efforts that we're making to increase our profitability, because they have to. Otherwise their CEO and the president and stuff, they all get fired. So they have to be able to demonstrate that they're continuing to push the needle forward to increase profits, even if they have to cannibalize themselves to do it. They are compelled to do that. They are corporations. Once a country has prospered, capitalism becomes parasitic. It's awesome until you hit 100% saturation. Once you get to that point, it starts eating everything smaller than it, so you become monopolized. And monopolies is when capitalism has grown. Like monopolies are when capitalism ends and stops being productive. For you to be able to continue with capitalism, you have to have an entirely new industry be born that can then tear apart the resources that are in those other companies and be reinvested into something else that can actually cause growth. Without a new industry being born, it cannibalizes itself because it has nowhere else to eat. So it's dangerous. We don't have any models of social engineering that takes us beyond late stage capitalism, because it took a couple hundred years for America to get to this point, and for Europe to get to this point. Europe is more socialist in nature, but capitalism still exists inside of socialism. Capitalism still kind of exists inside of other systems as well. Technically, communism, I guess, is antithetical to capitalism because it defines ownership, while socialism is more about government structuring. It gets social and economic stuff, like political stances and economic stances, naturally commingle, and it's hard to parse them apart. If I was a doctorate in socioeconomics, I would be able to parse this stuff out a bit better. I just have street knowledge level of being in this stuff forever and being interested. But I'm going to hit save here, and then this map is done, so I can hit save here, and we can close that out as dunzo done. And we now have the tokens, so we can go back in with the token. Oh, it's 7:55. How about that? There you go. So when we come back next time, we're going to start on, I think we're going to start on the gazebo. So we're basically, it's going to be the same thing, but we're going to be building basically a ruined gazebo that's just, it's just like a park feature. It's just sitting there. The team will be able to come upon it. It's a center point environment for another battle to occur, and we'll do that. But let's I've got a few minutes here, so let me see if I can catch up on stuff. And we didn't finish remind me, anyone that's interested, remind me of the conversation about experience points if you want to hear that. But I think I already have it out someplace. And we can certainly continue that. The colors on this one. Oh, good. Thanks, Karen. Thank you. I'm really, really glad to hear that. Because we know color is always a challenge of mine. So, but it's the contrast, I think, that helps make it pop so much. Why do you think they attempted to get the party? And then bigger dollars, yes. And Watson, but it was yeah. What companies? Yeah, they don't have any choice, and companies can create smaller sections for better management. They could. Yeah, no, yeah. Monopolies aren't good for anybody. It's a monopoly is a capitalist form of a communist regime, where they're dictating what you can and can't do. Companies do it by limiting what they provide for you to do things with, like eroding the quality of food because there's only 3 food manufacturers, for instance. They're going to naturally set the quality that we can expect, even though it's an inferior product. We don't have anywhere else to turn, so we're effectively caught inside of that machinery. And because they're so big, there's no real competition except for little niche companies that provide specialty foods, for instance. So, like, there's a meat shop. Ironically, it's called D&D Market, but it's a wild game butcher. So you can get like wild boar, elk, reindeer, bison, buffalo, like a slew of like pheasant, all sorts of like wild game meats. But like they can't scale that nationwide. It has to be regional where you can easily hunt stuff. Like reindeer is being imported in from Alaska to be sold in very small boutique meat markets like this. Bison, by the way, is freaking amazing. So is buffalo. All these game meats are just really, really high quality because they have a more natural life. There's more nutrients. If you eat a bison burger, it is going to fill you a lot longer than a mass-produced, a mass production facility cow, because the quality of meat has a higher level of existence. It has more essence. Like it just has a higher quality to it. But that's the thing, is like if you want that quality, the large corporate beast can't provide it for you. You have to go into these little boutiques. Like the third-party D&D scene is so often moving further ahead than where WotC's at with 5e design, simply because WotC's attempting to cater to the widest level of audience with the lowest level of engagement. Like if you want my Spelljammer mechanics, you're really interested in Spelljammer stuff. If you're into my color magic system, you're way more into Magic the Gathering and D&D stuff than where Wizards is at right now. My mass combat system, you got to be way more into army and military stuff than where Wizards is willing to go. My guild and kingdom system is far deeper in resource and downtime activity management than Wizards wants to go, because I can hyper specialize, but I'm catering to a much smaller spread out audience that hasn't collected into a place where we demand like the Bastion system is a response to how much money MCDM has made off of guilds and off of their Kingdoms and Warfare and other stuff. So it's like, obviously there's an interest in homesteads and stuff like that. Let's build those. So that's where that's where that came from. That's an instant of like D&D as a corporate entity being able to spread out into additional areas. So, but I'm out of time. So, oh my God, Bison's so good. All right, so this, so there's a number of topics we haven't resolved today. I'm happy to come back and talk about them some more tomorrow. And I'll be back doing more artwork like this tomorrow. And I'm going to be back. It's 8 o'clock now. I'm going to be back in... I want to say in 4 hours. It'll be noon. I've got some meetings today at my day job. I'm not sure exactly what my timing is, but I'll be back doing Martial Powers stuff today. Probably in about 4 hours, like noon Pacific time. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me. I'll see you in the future. Cheers.